There are two ways to become powerful. You can become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger like an elephant. Other thing is to become smaller and smaller and smaller like an atom. So there is nothing about size. It's about position. You can become small, but you can still be more impactful. So don't be in the craze of becoming big.
Is that why you call yourself as a nano firm?
Then I looked at all the law firms, accounting firms, consulting firms. Most of them were stuck in the present. They were focusing on past cases or current issues. Not anybody had leveraged the power of future. If I focus on future, I'll be complementary to other law firms.
What is innovation in the law firm as such?
Innovation, if I put my own definition, is finding solution to a complex problem through unprecedented mechanism.
Gene editing, designer babies. Do you think science is moving faster than morality?
Technology is a double-edged sword.
So today we have someone very special. We are with the person Nishith Desai. He's the key architect behind India's multi-billion-dollar FDI revolution. He's also called the father of international tax. I truly believe he's a visionary. He thinks about things which we can't even dream of. He thought about AI when we could not even think what is AI. So thank you so much for being here.
Most welcome.
It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I mean, since many years I've been wanting to meet you, and it's just a pleasure to have you. So thank you so much.
I love meeting young kids because that keeps me going, and I also stay young.
Thank you so much. So, I mean, you have impressive labels. I mean, we hear you about being father of international tax, key architect for so many things. So, who is Nishith Desai and what is NDA? I mean, just as a broad background, what is it?
NDA is an idea, So, the way in which you look at, I think it's fun to do professional work, but ideate, create, change the world. I think that's the core, and as you know, that it's a purpose. It's a purpose that drives us. So of course we like to do most innovative, complex transactions, deals, litigation, and all that kind of stuff. But more important is to foster next generation of socially conscious lawyers, and number three, to shape the future of law. Because if we don't shape, somebody else will do it, and you crib. So whole idea is a three-dimensional purpose, not unidimensional just to make money or earn, which is important, no doubt about it, economics. But I think two other purposes, to foster socially conscious lawyers, shaping the future of law, looking and gazing into the future, it makes our work life a little exciting.
I was reading somewhere that before you started NDA, you actually tracked or researched about 100 professional services firm, lawyers or CA firms or international firms. I mean, I would say that's not diligence, that's like obsession. So what was the reason behind you going and seeing more than 100 professional services firm or studying them deeply? I mean, what was the thought process behind that?
See, I was a counsel, so started as an employment lawyer. Couldn't find a good senior. Eventually, I got into a field which I hated the most, called tax. I always thought that tax is a corrupt place, and I was very close to Jayaprakash Narayan. I was leader of Bombay Students Union, Sangharsha Samiti, those days during emergency. So we were all naughty boys, and employment law and those kind of things were interest to me, but couldn't make much headway. So I ultimately got introduced to tax field, and then I found people like S.P. Mehta, Palkhiwala and others who had done a great job out of that, and the integrity and, a lot to learn from them, right? And I thought now I can do practice a little more honestly, and especially at a higher level, At that time to appear before commissioner was a pride.
Oh, okay.
I'm just giving you. And so it was good to start and then got into that. But after some time, I did my master's with international business law and specialized globalization. And along with that, I thought that nobody had studied deeply the cross-border aspects of Indian taxation, and therefore I said, let me just study, what is it like. There was no guide, nobody else. After doing my master, I wanted to do PhD, but there was no guide. So I said, let me study myself. And so I embarked on a self-study. I was a counselor, so those days India was Indianizing everything, and I was sitting on super specialization globalization. 77 was the year. At that time, the same year, Coca-Cola was thrown out,
Oh, that.
IBM was thrown out, and then Pepsi came in, and other companies were required to dilute their holdings to 40% and all this kind of thing. I'm not being judgmental whether it was right or wrong, uh, but it was an environment where my specialization and my desire to see Indian companies going global was a little bit of a conflict. So, lawyer who doesn't have practice, what do? You start writing articles, you start writing books, starting to do all those kind of things, lectures on the subject that you don't have much practice on. But it gave me a lot of insight over a period of 3-4 years. And then in 1981, I stumbled on one of the biggest clients in the world. I never knew how large these companies could be, called company called Bechtel. So 1981, they were looking for somebody who understood international taxation of international construction contracts. Both are complicated subject. And they came, they went around the country, couldn't find somebody who could properly advise. Then they saw my articles and they found me out and they were looking up and down. I was a kid and they were looking at billions of dollars project, right? And but they asked me a lot of questions. I said, I know subject, but I don't have practical experience. I said, honestly speaking. But eventually they were happy, got engaged. So that was a good client to start with. So whole practice grew from Bechtel in California, where it was headquartered. And from there, most of the work began to grow in the U.S. The Clorox company, Levi Strauss, and then I had very interesting assignment from a company called DuPont to do corporate philosophy study. Again, it's a long story. Today's session will not be enough to talk about it. But lawyer landing up on a primary research project to do corporate philosophy study, because in the conversation with them, I had said that they wanted to develop strategy, and I am not MBA. I'm not like you find graduate and all that kind of stuff fancy. But I said, what is strategy? Strategy is about choices. All choices in life are because of philosophy. So, what is your philosophy? So, we started discussing philosophy, and the leader of the group in DuPont, Bill Alamkal, he was so happy discussing philosophy, and he thought from India when we go, philosophy is the core. So, we started talking about corporate philosophy. And if you look at every chairman's statement in annual statement, you will find first paragraph is on a corporate philosophy so and so. But when I look at case studies in MBA or otherwise, there are hardly any case study about philosophy. They
Correct.
start with strategy. Whereas strategy comes at a lower level, I said. It's philosophy from their vision to mission to goals, then strategy, then structure. Structure always follows strategy, not the otherwise. So, all those kind of things. And I landed up on a very interesting project. So I did primary study for them and gave a report. And then practice was moving to Wall Street. So there was one of the investment banking company called Bear Stearns. They were one of the fifth largest investment bankers like Goldman Sachs and Merrill and all that kind of thing. So the managing director became a good friend of mine. And he said, Nishith, why don't you set up a law firm? I said, in India, counsels, barristers, they don't set up law firms.
Oh, that time there were not much law firms.
So counsels never thought of setting up law firms. And Indian law had already changed, it had already changed. So I said, just as I learned from primary study from DuPont, why not look at, I was not in a hurry to set up shop next morning. So I said, let me talk to senior partners of, law firms, globally, accounting firms, because my relationship with accounting firm has been very good for a long period of time, because as a tax lawyer, you constantly deal with them, right? And so then I started talking to a lot of how they are organized, how come they become big, and it's always sometimes strange, you're 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 um, lawyers or accountants and all that thing. So then I went into, I had a lot of time, and then after landed up with a consulting firm, McKinsey at that point of time, and they told me, gave me another case study of Wachtell Lipton. Okay, it's it's a worth case study. You must look at it some point in time, and they are highest per partner revenue, per partner profit. Not that money matters per se, but they are doing something interesting. So I looked at, okay, McKinsey is a good model to look at because McKinsey was shaped by a lawyer. It was struggling to survive in 1930s, and lawyer from Jones Day, Marvin Bower, he came, he took over, and he changed the whole complexion of the McKinsey, which was accounting and engineering consulting company. And so he imbibed all the features of a law firm. So you usually hardly see any advertisement of McKinsey, okay, other consulting firms, you have a big board and all that kind of stuff. Whole profile is that. They don't like to use word, we are in the business of consulting, we are in the profession of consulting, and all those kind of things. I don't want to bore you with those conversations. But I learned a lot, and they helped me to think that, you can become small, but you can still be more impactful. So don't be in the craze of becoming
Big. Is that
big.
why you call yourself as a nano firm?
Yeah, so then I coined, after some years, nano firm, and I realized that there are two ways to become powerful. Nothing wrong with one or the other. You can become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger like an elephant. You can trash anyone who comes your way, you can, you know, kill him. Other thing is to become smaller and smaller, smaller like an atom.
Okay.
And you can become as powerful as anybody else. So there is nothing about size, it's about position. At individual level, you can be more powerful than anybody else. Look at um, Palkiwala, okay, and look at all the professional firms around, right? Whose brand equity was better,
Yeah.
correct? Whose per person revenue must be better? Take any uh, uh, parameter, okay. So it is not about one individual, can be institution, where a lot of institutions could be more like individual, mom and pop shop. So whole idea is that it's about positioning and your behavioral pattern. And over a period of time, I became an ardent student of organizational behavior, which is my favorite subject now. And our law firm is now a case study in management schools in the U.S. John Wiley has published a case
Oh,
study in
nice.
the Journal of Organizational Excellence on organizational behavior as a competitive advantage. There are three ways to compete. One is on price, okay, product or innovation, and third way is to have organizational behavior. If your organizational behavior, culture, ethos, integrity, that itself is a competitive advantage. People love to do business with you. As I said, OB is the most important strategic advantage. Why? Because I believe strategy, one definition, is to create a differentiation, which differentiation, even if known to others, cannot be copied. Correct?
So that you're core believer
If
of that.
it can be copied, it is tactic. So pricing, suppose somebody says I charge higher, lower, somebody will lower the price and then the lower, and then you got bottomless
Is
pit.
raised to the bottom.
Correct? Either way, similarly, innovation, there is no end to that. There are other ways of doing it. Sometimes you don't have either of the two specific advantage, or you are not known for pricing, or like Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton, more charges they charge for a bag, more customers go. Correct? Then there are innovations like Apple. Every year they keep on doing incremental innovation, but you still find it sexy and still want to do it, right? So Samsung, you're just talking, the camera is much better than anybody else, right? So there are certain differentiation, but if you do not have that, nothing else. But when people think you're honest, you're good, and nice people to work with, sincere, that itself is an advantage. So OB, organizational behavior, is very important part of the game. So I learned that, and then in 1990 I decided to set up law firm, and after studying for 4.5 years all these law firms, accounting here, I was not in a hurry to set up shop, right? And then I felt, how can I differentiate? Then I looked at all the law firms, accounting firms, consulting firms. Most of them were stuck in the present. They were focusing on past cases or current issues, right? But not anybody had leveraged the power of future. So I say, like, if I focus on future, okay, and then I'll be complementary to other law firms. I don't have to always compete. It's an age of competition. Cooperate and compete, you know. And I said, the biggest reward that you can get is to command the respect of competitors, right? You can command, you can command respect of clients. You can command respect of the people working in and the society around. But when competitors respect you, so I started contributing to empower competitors. That means with all the writings, lots of opinions which or research papers you write. Almost every law firm, every accounting firm, every university, every student, regulator, they all use it. And it's fun because somebody is reading your paper. Otherwise you write and nobody reads. It's not a good thing. So I said, let me build firm based on the future.
You were ranked as the most innovative law firm. So, and what is innovation I mean, you in the law firm as such?
Innovation, if I may put my own definition, is finding solution to a complex problem through unprecedented mechanism. I'll repeat. Innovation is finding solution to a complex problem through an unprecedented structure. So, what you do and how you do find solution, and what kind of structure you do it or mechanism you use that. So that's how I look at innovation.
So you were the key architect of the Mauritius route getting FDI into India. So how was that born? I mean, how did the whole process start? What was the thought process? I mean, because it's
I
not.
have been asked this question million times,
I'm
zillion
sure.
times. See what happened as as a global lawyer. I was doing a lot of comparative law studies, so understanding laws in India, in the US, in England, in other countries. So comparative law studies has been my forte. So you understand legal and tax systems, plus cultural and other kind of things. Now what happened was in 1990, US-India Treaty was signed. It was negotiated, how long? 23 years. And last 3-4 years I was involved in the negotiation of the treaty, and but it lasted for 23 years because on certain clauses India and US couldn't agree. Now what has happened in the US while studying US law, I found that there is code section 865. What it says is that we will not tax foreigners when they earn capital gains tax from the sale of US company shares. Got it? India says we tax foreign investors on when they sell the Indian company. Right? So why? Because India says, look here, you are investing in Indian company, Indian shares are here, and you are transferring those shares. So source of income is India. So we will tax you here. US says that shares are not tangible property. They are like intangible. So the intangible resides with the person wherever he is residing. So if you are a US resident, like intellectual property, it resides where the holder of property is, right? Same way, as far as shares are concerned, it's intangible. So intangible property is residing or located in the US. So now here is a US person, they say, our person, he has a property in the US and we have first right to tax when they sell. Why India should tax it? In fact, they say that Indians, we don't tax you, even if you make $1 billion on sale of IBM shares or otherwise. But you are taxing us, so we are not going to give you tax credit. So source rules differences, and a lot of things were discussed, negotiated, but India and US could not come to a close. So I believe when Rajiv Gandhi was traveling to US, he said, anyhow, I want treaty to be done, and then both countries said, okay, let us agree to disagree. So the treaty mentions that both countries can tax in accordance with their own laws. So even today, tax credit issue prevails. So US person investing in India, at that time India tax capital gains at the rate of about 25% to 50, 60%. US will charge 40%, and depending on the situation. Now together, who will invest? So when India opened up, treaty was signed in 1990. India opened up in 1981. Now because of this big issue, who will
Who
invest
will
in
invest in
India?
India?
Correct. And as a result, there was a big, and especially not for profit, they're not taxed in the US, but they are taxed in India. So it's a, they are major investors as well. Anyway, cutting whole story short, they, so I started looking at different jurisdictions
Jurisdictions.
and tumbled on Mauritius. So I said, this is a strange treaty where India says, we will not
We will
tax
not
your
tax.
company. Because in hindsight, what had happened, this treaty was signed in 1984. When India was exporting Fiat cars, Bajaj, all those textile machineries and everything to Mauritius. Because from Mauritius, India and South Africa could not trade. So a lot of people would go to Mauritius, Mauritius to Maputo, Maputo to South Africa and all that kind of thing. But more importantly, there were a lot of export even for domestic consumption in Mauritius. So when I went, I said, where is this Mauritius? Mauritius, Malta, Maldives, everything looks like similar
Yeah.
country, right? And I went there and I said, let me see what the country looks like. So I went there, it's a nice island and all that. I met some professionals to ask whether can you set up an offshore company here. They say, we don't have regime. Why don't you help us? And somebody connected me with the minister in Mauritius. And then we sat in the afternoon and I said, maybe it will be useful because Mauritius-India treaty did not even have limitation of treaty benefit article. Okay. And therefore, I said, if can US companies incorporate in Mauritius, Mauritius can invest in India, and legitimately it was permissible. The idea is that when people will earn tax-free capital gains from India to Mauritius, there is no tax. Okay. But Mauritius to US are taxed on worldwide tax. So they are still going to pay tax. But the most important thing is avoidance of double tax. So whole purpose of Mauritius treaty structure was not to avoid tax, which most people think, tax avoidance and stuff like that. The purpose was to avoid double taxation
Double
of the same
taxation.
income, and that's how it started. And then, the very first company I set up. In fact, it was very interesting. They didn't know how to write tax residency certificate. So first tax residency certificate I wrote in my own hand.
Okay.
Yeah, help them to develop offshore center and all those kind of thing, and help them to set up, other environment, company law, and other changes. We brought it, and anyways, going back, a lot of things happen. So first 5 funds, India again. In the US, what I learned, fund was a big industry.
India didn't
And
have.
when I started in 1991 talking about funds, most people laughed. They said, oh, you're talking cheat funds, CHEAT. Because cheat fund was the people were cheating with
Correct.
the fund and, all those kind of things going on. And it was embarrassing to talk about fund. Today people take pride.
Yeah.
Okay, so markets change like nobody's business. And so first 5 funds, first index fund, public market fund, FI, first private equity capital, George Soros Chase Capital, uh, first venture capital fund for India. All the 5 funds we set up in Mauritius, and also domestic Indian fund, AIG, ILFS and all that. So it was very interesting. So a lot of investments started coming. Tax department was very enthusiastic on giving treaty benefit and all that thing. They gave treaty residency certificate, acceptance, there no withholding tax, blah, blah, blah. But when India started getting a lot of money, after 5-10 years, started issuing notices. And then we had all the problems,
Yeah.
and ultimately in 2004, uh, Azadi Bachao Andolan came up, and we represented all the foreign investors who invested in India through Mauritius, and Supreme Court revalidated the opinion that I gave in 1991-92.
Wow.
So that was quite.
But you've done first of so many kinds. I mean, be it first of, like you said, you've did the taxes. What is something which is closest to you out of, you've done so many first of kinds?
The reason is that typically I started enjoying thinking and ideating new ideas. So I said if I spend on routine work, then I will not have any time to think. And what I felt was that, um, uh, if I take one case, every case has become precedent of its type. So I think that I should not be arguing cases. It sets a precedent where I go to the court and say this case is covered by so and so. I'll make money,
You'll,
but I think I'm not contributing because it's already done. So typically my approach is if I can create new jurisprudence, okay, for every case, then I have contributed to the community something. So my enjoyment is finding new ideas, new interpretation, new. It gives me a little more time to think, read, ideate. Otherwise, I'll be, doing whole day the same thing, and nothing right or wrong. I'm not being judgmental or any approach, but I feel my feel is that ideating, doing something new, innovative, is then it became part of the game. So created a lot of first, whether it's first SPAC transaction for Renew, $8 billion, or NIF whole structure, first of its kind private sector sovereign fund. Okay, that ideation again is another story. Each one has his own
so
story.
many first of the kinds.
So Gift City, it is another long story. So I had taken Prime Minister to Singapore in
Or
2007.
to show that this,
What had happened, he wanted to set up infrastructure fund for Gujarat. He couldn't travel. So I had taken him to Singapore where he could travel, and then introduced him to GIC, Tamasek, and also Minister Thurman, who is my friend, he is now President of Singapore. I introduced him. He was Minister of Finance and Education. Very down to earth person. And so connected him and we met and all that. So in the evening we are walking on a boat quay, the Singapore
yeah,
River
yeah.
boat quay.
Yes.
And when I took him there and all that, so he said, yeah, what a great place they have made. I said, we can also do it in India. And this place is such where zillionaire also walks and billionaire also walk
Correct.
together. It's a true socialist, capitalist kind of environment. So like that we had conversations. So we walked one way. On the way back, he says, how come these people have developed such a nice financial center? I said, we can also do it. Okay. I had helped Mauritius. And I had written a book in 1983 in which I had written a chapter, why not make Andaman Nicobar a free zone?
Okay.
So when he said, oh, this is a great idea, can you give me a note? I said, Minister को तो note ही चाहिए. It's easier to say, but difficult. लिखना कितना मुश्किल है आपको पता है मेरे से भी. तो the next day I pulled out chapter from my book and I said, here's a framework. And what had happened in hindsight was that Mauritius came up in 2002. Singapore did not have good fund regime. They were charging 18% on GST, and on the management fees and all those kind of thing. And Minister Thurman had suggested me to talk to tax department, so we worked with them. Eventually, it's 50% now, about 8-9%, whatever it is. So I had some role in Singapore development of fund industry. So some experience of Mauritius, something. So I had some credibility, if not too much. And king of his own place, right? So when we went back in Oberoi, there was a big meeting, and I and my wife just were standing last because we were a little late. He saw my grey hair, and he said, oh, Nishith Desai suggested we should set up a financial center, so we'll have it in Gandhinagar, and Gift City came up.
Oh, that's the
2007.
wow.
It was not notified for 5 years until 2013. But then 2013 it got notified. Fortunately, he became Prime Minister in 14, and then the rest is history. And still it was not picking up for 5 years. And So I said that 1 lakh crores of landed asset of public was held up with just 2 buildings on the ground for a long period of time. And the reason was, and I had conversation, so I said what we need is like what Mauritius did. Mauritius had Offshore Business Activities Authority, MOBA, which had ability to approve every kind of grant, every approval. Whereas in GIFT City, if you want to set up something, 10 different ministries have to approve. So who's going to
Who's
come?
going to come?
Then decided to have this IFCA, International Financial Services Center Authority. So that came up, and after that, you have seen it's not looking back.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
lot
like a
of
game
interest, a
changer.
lot of other kind of stuff coming up. So that's a little bit of history on GIFT City. So like this, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. First of so many kinds, you must be feeling very proud of what you've achieved.
Yeah, it becomes part of DNA. NDS DNA is innovation.
No, like first of kind, I think so. I don't see any, I would say, a law firm or any firm which having global offices. I mean, today, yes, I feel it's time where Indian professional services firm are going global. But maybe when you have an office in Silicon Valley, New York, Singapore, so that's also I think so first of a kind where you went
Yeah,
global.
so what happened was that in 1990, later part, technology, and I was already into that zone. So when a lot of work started happening, more and more work happened with Silicon Valley. And the Silicon Valley entrepreneurs threw a fairly big party in to celebrate my 50th birthday. I hope I don't look older than that today. So this is my 53rd year of legal practice now.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
Hopefully I'm not looking that old. So they celebrated that and suggested, why don't you set up office here? And I found that it was easier to open an office in Silicon Valley than in Delhi. Sorry, no disrespect meant, I'm just in lighter vein, so nobody should take offense. But, you know, so I said, why not take, we expected foreign law firms will come into India in 1991 when India opened up, right? It did not happen. So I had designed the firm in mind that someday market will open up. And I thought it will be 1990s. But today after 40 years it's still struggling. Then I said, okay, foreign law firms are not able to open. I would go there. Nothing stops me. So what? So we opened office there, and it's again a lot of stories around that. But and I said we do comparative law studies, so we know both sides. But we only practice Indian law. So we have special license to practice Indian law in California because law is a licensed practice. Even foreign law is a licensed practice. So to practice foreign law also you need a license. So we have special license to practice Indian law. So we do everything overall and always work with local law firm. So it's a complementary,
Rather than a
and
competition.
rather than why should I reinvent the wheel doing
Of
US
course. Yeah.
implementation and all that. But we can take a whole picture. So we are known today as global legal architects. So like architect, they are both technical and aesthetics and uh, putting together a structure and all that. So global weather. Today actually more work that we do is from non-Indian companies into non-India regions. So foreign companies, they're expanding in Saudi, Dubai, London or Netherlands or Brazil or whatever, I'm just giving example. So I think that has become core. So, you got to rise above the regular thing. So, because of comparative law studies and, legal issues, jurisdictional issues, cultural issues, so you are able to design and we can rather give work to them. Typical model is foreign law firms give work to Indian
Indian
law
firm
firms.
firms, yeah.
So people chase them.
Correct.
Rather, I say, I will feed you because developing country
Yeah.
contributes to develop.
That's
No,
even
no.
bigger.
So
Nothing like that.
it's a little fun,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So we put together and focus on futuristic technology. So look to 8, 10, 15, 20 years from now and then see what's likely to happen.
I mean, when you started, did you face resistance? Not, I would say, maybe not from the market, but from hiring people that, this is the thing which you're trying to build. Did you get people to work with you in the beginning?
Uh, like solo practitioner, you know, single person starting new in 1990. They're all big law firms. Very nice firm. We learned a lot. with the Mullah and Mullah, Crawford Bailey's, Little and Company. They're iconic, and professionals were so good, you know. And I learned from them. But, thing was that who will join me,
Correct.
right? So that because starting new and people, yeah, somebody will come here and there. So I couldn't find juniors. So eventually, what happened was that there was one electronics engineer. He came crying at my home, saying that Nishith, by my life's his dream is shattered. I said, what happened? He was with his father and all that thing. He said, no, I am a first class electronics engineer, and you know, I got admission in a top school in the US, but my visa is declined. So he thought I was immigration lawyer.
Okay.
I said, a lawyer is lawyer, but not that everything we do. And he said, can you call up consul general and get me visa? I said, it doesn't happen that way, because window person on the window is more powerful than
Yes,
consul
correct.
himself. So then say, now what do? I don't know. Then I said, I know only one thing, law. Why don't you do law? So he said, whatever you say, I'll do it.
Oh,
So next day I said, you come. And I had some computer. So I said, no. And those days to repair computer and all that was a problem. So he's the electronics engineer. I said, you repair computer whenever, those days printer goes out of order. Then you have to place an order, send it to the repairer, give advance check and all that kind of stuff, and take 1 week to come back. And I say, here is engineer, so you repair my computer. So he started repairing computer. And second job, I said, you do is to mark in the newspaper every morning those days. That was our internet. A newspaper we take, we mark it, we cut it, put it on a file, subject-wise organized. So internet was physical
physical
internet we
internet.
had. So I could refer to anything. Because law is more appearing in the newspapers than in the law books, because printing and other things takes time. So he started doing that. After 3 years, he finished law, and
Joined you.
he joined me, but he passed out, and I got invitation to speak at Pacific Telecom Commission in Hawaii. I said, now you are a lawyer, just go. He applied again, but saying that I am a lawyer specializing in telecom. Telecom was the flavor of the market at that time, and he joined me. So first starting point was like electronics engineer becoming lawyer. Then there was stenographer. I found that stenographers learn more than lawyers those days. That second one, I found stenographer who was working for Air India. He joined me. I made him to the law. Then one lady came. She was gold medalist chartered accountant, and she thought I was chartered accountant. I said, I am not a chartered accountant. 10 times I total, 10 times I go wrong. You want to join? I am a lawyer. She joined, and she is Shefali Goradia. She is now chairperson of the techs in
One of the big fours.
one of the big fours. 14 years she was with me. My only regret is she didn't do law. I hope she would have done it. But anyway, it was a wonderful relationship, and I think so. I think I found one thing, that you can take different talent from different faculties and create something new. So now we have PhD in AI, medical surgeon and lawyers. We have social scientists and lawyers. We have other kind of MBAs and all those. But most of them have done law and then work around that. So that adds me up to understanding things and visualize what new technology will come, and we visualize what will be the future strategic, legal, tax, or ethical issues. That's how it built up.
So you understand the concept first and then work on the legal
Yeah.
aspect.
You have to understand industry, technology, and then you can, look at what are the legal or tax implications.
So what's your view on AI? And okay, it's a very broad question, but coming from AI, the way it's growing, I mean, it changes every week. You have something new. How do you think that will affect the legal profession or the professional services profession, and for the good or the bad? And the reason why I'm asking is because when you talk to core professionals or core lawyers, they still want to, they're very close to the law, right? They want to practice law. And today, how firms are growing, it seems that firms have become more digital firms, or what we see in the market is they're going towards more digital than actually going towards the core practice area. So how do you think, I mean, AI obviously a very broad question, and I know you're working a lot in that, but how do you think will affect the profession? Because considering at least the new age, the Gen Zs who are coming in, they have more tech related brain, and they maybe don't want to spend so much time doing R&D.
See, whatever is very routine work will all get automated. What is creative age? I don't know how much time we have, but in this age, there is information age. There's at the bottom it's data. It 1960s, 70s, etc. Then came 80s and 90s particularly. Information age came. So information got democratized. Otherwise, to get one piece of information was a different thing, and information got democratized. So Googles and others came in. Now interpreting information is knowledge age. So we are moving into knowledge age, and when you add experience, it is wisdom. So that's the pyramid. Now data alone is not enough. Information alone is not enough. Uh, Knowledge alone is not enough. Wisdom alone is the creative use of these things to solve a problem. So sideways is the creative age. So for creative age, AI is going to be enabler. So if you embrace it, you can be more creative, you have more time to think, ideate, and other kind of. But those who take it as a routine thing, perhaps there would be some difficulty.
You wrote about, and your office has written about gene editing. You've written about designer babies. Do you think science is moving faster than morality? I mean,
See,
it's
morality is a little personal issue, right? What is moral? Immoral, right? Same thing that is moral in India may not be moral in, correct? So I think that's a different question. But one thing is that technology is a double-edged sword. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad, right? For example, autonomous vehicles is one thing, great use, blah, blah, blah. But autonomous weapons, no. Whether it's good or bad, but we have to have some convergence of global thinking, some regulation on global basis on autonomous weapons, because I can write your name on a bullet and it will find you out and shoot you if your data is compromised. So that's why data sensitivity is very important. So those are kind of things that we need to see, that how do you protect the human rights issue and things like that in the middle of all the craze that is going on. Again, we can talk a lot about it, but
crypto. I mean, seeing your video in 2013, 14 talking about crypto, I mean, at that time, I mean, it was nothing value wise also, but I think so. No one knew about crypto as such also, or a Bitcoin at that time, right? And long now, 10 henceforward, 10 years, crypto is worth more than $100,000 today, right? At that time, it was peanuts. And how do you think about it? And we've seen your legal win over RBI when on the Supreme Court. What's your view going forward? I mean, it's still, I will also not say very clear from a legal aspect on crypto in India,
see, one thing is clear, that crypto is not illegal.
for sure.
Okay, Supreme Court has confirmed that when we fought that case as well, but it must be regulated. If it is regulated properly, it has enormous benefits. Okay, and uh, it will get legitimacy. See, mentally we are still reconciling whether crypto is needed or not, irrespective whether you like it or not, is the
It's there.
reality.
It's there.
When Trump has come, it has gone to different
Correct.
zone, right? And so it is more important proper regulations and proper ecosystem. Um, there are some bad uses like any other money, like cash. Cash is legal, correct? But you can use it for bad purpose or good purpose. Cash, if you give it to somebody,
Correct.
okay, you can't trace.
Same way with
But somewhere on there, and crypto can be
can be
traced.
traced.
Okay, so it's not that anonymous as cash is.
So cash is the worst actually.
And worst. Whereas mindset is no,
No,
crypto
crypto is
is
bad
bad.
because people think dark web. People think
Yeah.
how it's going to
So
be used,
everything, you're going to be seeing dual use, and how do you leverage on the benefits of a technology is something that we need to,
and it's a reality. It's not going
yeah.
anywhere.
And you know, it's reality. It is, I think, getting more legitimacy. It is, so many new things are coming out of that, and we have to make sure that it is used for public benefit.
So talking about culture, I mean that's something. So I still remember, let's say 10, 15 years down the line, we see an email that NDA totally changes the leave policy concept, right? And you can take leave when you want, you can go, and we were like, ye kaise ho sakta hai? Is it even possible? And 15 years back, I'm doing my internship, I still remember, and I'm like, how is it even possible to think on those lines in today's time? And first of all, how did that thought process come? And second, did you see a positive impact of it or a negative impact also with it, because people can take it for granted?
I think very good question. First of all, culture. What is culture? Culture is a set of common behaviors of the people in an organization. Okay, and now what happens is that you experiment with organizational behavior. And what is happening? People apply for leave. Do you have time to approve leave? Okay, they go on leave and say this thing has happened, that thing has happened. Ultimately, so it becomes a mess. Kitna track rakho, ye karo, how much time you spend on that? So I said, who wants to do that? I want to trust people. So I said, let's scrap the leave policy. Take as much leave as you want, and these are the objectives. You fulfill them, okay? And whatever you do, suppose you want to take a leave, you grant leave. But then you have to decide who else will do his job. I say, no, you take leave, no problem. But you find out who else is going to do the job.
It's your problem.
It's your problem. So why should I keep track of all the leave policy and this and that and all that? And if you're enjoying and if you're responsible, okay.
You will not take only leave.
Yeah. So that's how it started. I said, my headache is not there to approve leave and all that kind of thing. I have no time. I'm wasting so much time. And then coordination and all that thing, right? So that's how it started. Then we experimented with that. We saw both good and the bad. Bad in the sense not so positive, So some people took advantage of it. Advantage, I would say, in lighter vein, not that they are intentionally doing something wrong. But they took it a little easy. But majority still were responsible. And I said the model that I am working on now is what we call driverless organization. I talked about it in the afternoon, that driverless cars, how they move without a driver, right? Every part, sensors, software, everything works on its own, does its own job. You don't need a driver, you don't need command and control. And I hate command and control model. So we have no hierarchy and no titles, nothing of the sort. No.
So no
Only for first 5 years people are members of the firm, and then after leaders. If you can't be, first 3 years for technical skills, 2 years management training, 5 years you're a leader, you do equal to 5-10 years. Then after you're free, and there is no title. So just these two levels, just because people move up and they become little leaders of the time. Leader is who? To us, or to me, leader is a person who who is competent and who is inspirational. Manager is a person who has to tell, do this, do this, do this. So we don't believe in managerial thing. We say leadership, whereby people look at you and inspired to emulate your behavior. So it's the responsibility of the leader to say, so we don't have titles at all.
No, that's the first time I'm hearing a professional services firm not having
No,
titles.
otherwise today title brings entitlement.
But people die for that entitlement.
Because we created environment, no. Now when we hire people, we say there is no title. You want to join it.
So don't people have a problem that competition creates? I mean, the ecosystem around it has titles.
It does. Why not? We are the biggest poaching ground. But there are people and there are people and there are people. Our philosophy is we never go and poach any firm. Okay, poaching means what? Poaching, killing. Now I kill somebody, I pay extra price and bring dead body to my office. I want some vibrant person, no? Living animal. You poach a dead body, you bring dead body to your office. Tomorrow somebody else will do it. So, it's a whole rat race. That's why we say we want to stay small. Okay. We are collegial, etc.
Stay small, think big.
Small, think big. So we have no policy, no poaching policy. 30, 40 years, never,
Never.
not gone to any law firm or any headhunter or nothing. Because headhunter is hunter, no?
Hunter.
Americans have taught us all, my work is there most of the time. They have taught all wild words. Poaching, stealing, headhunting. Is all the languages come to India now, right? Even bad and the good.
So if you were to start, let's say, NDA 2.0 today, with the new age, I would say Gen Z, their thinking, their thought process, would you still do the same, or would you think?
I would do even not only same, but more than the same, in the same direction though. Because I don't know, I see there is going to be more individual freedom that would be available. Is how do you manage the freedom is something that we have to, and with AI, as you could say, balance scorecard, whatever it is, right? Automated. But you add human element into the AI. Otherwise, it would backfire. And it's like any technology. There will be some people who will take advantage of it. Some people will not. But 9 out of 10 people are good, nice people. 1 or 2 people you deal with that. That's okay.
Few rapid fire questions from my
Yeah.
side.
I thought this was rapid fire.
Rapid fire. So one global firm I would say you secretly admire.
Wachter Lipton and McKinsey.
One big mistake.
Not secretly, openly.
Openly admire. Okay. So one big mistake which you think you've made, not from a case perspective, but a fundamental mistake.
Well, I think I have never committed mistake. I only committed blunders.
Okay. So
So,
so one blunder which you have created.
a lot of blunders I do all the time. In this experimentation, we do blunders. Sometimes organizational behavior blunder. In fact, even in professional work, sometimes we committed blunders, right? We can't say we never made mistake. But one thing I remember that every time I made a mistake and told client that I made a mistake, they appreciated it. And they are lifetime friends. I remember when even the early stage of my career, I made a mistake in not advising on the stamp duty because drafting and everything was done, but forgot to tell him stamp paper. And then after a few months, I found out. I went back and I said, I'm sorry, I made this. And there was some penalty. I said, I'll take care of it. But it was my mistake. You won't believe it became lifetime client. See, you become trusted advisor by putting client interest in front of yours without compromising your independence. So that's how I define.
One tech which scares you the most. I mean, in the future, because you see.
Autonomous weapons.
One prediction which you got fully wrong.
Not one, hundreds of them. There are many of them. Because right or wrong is a matter of time. For example, I thought after 91, real estate will open up, just as I talked about foreign law firm will open up, which of course did not happen. But real estate funds and all the things. So in 1996, did so much of work that, now real estate will open up, these, that, etc. Spend a lot of time, studied all the global prospectuses on real estate fund, these, that, etc. And nothing happened. 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2006 or something like that. Then suddenly market opened up. Okay, so we prepared all the models,
But it just did not happen.
but nothing happened. Same thing. So it's a matter of time sometimes.
I'm sure.
Timing, I judge, was 2, 3, 4 years instead of 10 years. Spec, 2014 is a hype. So
And died down.
Nishtal and other, we spent so much time developing business model for spec transactions. Okay, created all simulated model that if spec happens, how do you flip a company from here to London to NASDAQ and all those kind of thing, and what will the impact on the private equity fund, private equity from India, from abroad, sovereign fund, what will happen, all the things we are in the state of readiness, thinking that now spec is there, so in 2, 3 years it will be great. Nothing happens. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 comes and renew comes. Okay, we are all ready. Within 4 months, we pulled up the whole thing. fastest period.
Because you were ready, or you had at least prepared
Because
yourself.
we knew that what will happen to stock option plan, what will happen to private equity, foreign private equity people, what will happen in Indian private, what will happen to pension plans, what will happen to other ones, So we are in the state of preparedness 90%. But investment was all, this takes huge time and money to invest. You keep on paying high salaries and you spend time on this kind of thing. It gets a little trickier. But so we continuously make mistakes and we keep on learning.
Most overrated trend or buzzword in law today?
So in a law today is, I think, people are, I think, talking about law is a business rather than profession, and which is what concerns me sometimes. The mindset is that it's a business, so commerciality becomes,
A priority.
a, yeah, and commerciality brings only stress because competition is the biggest stress creator. And the mentality that is being developed is competition is a war, just American thought, right? Killing
Killing.
instinct, okay, rather than winning instinct. Competition is a war instead of sport. If you treat it as sport, sometimes you lose, sometimes you feel bad for a moment, but you
Yeah.
have next chance to live, right? Next time to win.
Yeah.
And it's fun. You open bottle of champagne. Of course, I don't drink, but the thing is that you excite. Even if you're losing a game, still together. Whereas today, it's the biggest stress creator. But if you treat it as a sport, you know, so
One
I
advice you
think
will give to a youngster today? I mean, again, coming to, I would say, a Generation Z mindset as a whole. What advice you would give coming to a legal profession, that what should they, you know,
oh, don't get hung up on a particular specialty unless you've seen the profession somewhere. Most of the lawyers come with a mindset, young lawyers, I want to do only corporate M&A. Okay, I want to do only tax now in tax profession. I want to I'm not interested in other thing. I'm not interested. That is the biggest mistake in my view currently that is happening, because you become techie, but you don't become solution provider. So we follow what we call inverted T model. So you have to have one or two focus areas, fine. But you decide focus after 2-3 years of practice. At least look at so many specialties, so many other species are available, but it's sheep herd mentality. So people say, I will only do this, I will not do this, I'm not interested. So our principle is that anyone wanting to join, you have to be fungible. Today it is like councils. We take
every type of
forest
case?
case, something else, anything that comes your
Correct.
way, you take it.
Correct.
Right? But you broad base so much. At the same time, you have focus. So connecting the dots is the single biggest art that professionals need to learn, because that allows you to find a solution, not give technical answer. Otherwise, you will give technically accurate answer but useless. You know the example of accountants, no? They give very good answer, but they say your answer is accurate but useless. That balloon fellow. Okay, so all that I'm telling all professionals, that don't be so hung up. First, look at 3, 4, 5 years. What is available to you? You have not even seen a plate, and you say I will only have this or that, which is a single biggest mistake. And over a period of time, they become so siloed. I've seen people in the US, they do say, I'll only do debt product. When debt market is gone, they don't know
They
anything
don't
else
know
to know.
anything else. Correct. And Western market is very skewed to one topic, one
Yeah,
section of law, one.
correct. But now things are changing a little bit, because you have to be specialist and you have to be generalist.
One last question. Why do you wear two watches?
Because I never did accounting, so I don't know how to total 10 items. I do 10 times,
I
and
just
it'll be
saw, so
wrong.
that's the
And
last
it's
question.
not 2 watches, but there are 3 watches here.
Oh, okay. Is it because different time zones?
Different time zones. Because 40 years ago, I had one watch. Somebody gave me second watch. I saw my wife, she's wearing one bangle, one side. I said, why should I reverse discriminate? So it helped me, because today also with phone and other thing, you have to do tick tick and then to San Francisco this time. Now here I got 2 times. I just put little like this and I get my answer.
Great.
What is?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time. It was great
Yeah.
interacting with you and
No,
and
so nice of you,
pleasure.
and thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
so
I
much.
really appreciate your,
Yeah.
inviting me
No,
to
no.
this show.
Thank you so much.
And wish you all the best.
Thank you.
My blessings to you.
Thank you so much, sir.
And enjoy your time, all of you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, sir.
Really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.